Beyond stardom this time, we go behind the glitz and glamour of 5 of entertainment's brightest stars to find out what really makes them tick. At 7 a.m. on September 11, 2001, he was scheduled to film a scene at the top of one of the World Trade Center towers, but the shoot was postponed due to script delays. One of Jackie Chan's greatest fears is winding up on his deathbed, regretting the things he hasn't done. There's fat chance of that, since the only thing he doesn't seem to do is sleep.
I do so many business. I have a shoes business, my clothing business. All the clothing belongs to Jackie Chan. And even the shoes, and socks, underwear, watch, glasses. And even I have my own car, Jackie Chan design. I have so many business. You know, it's just one of my hobby, but still, the movie is my main business. So this is why I'm for the future, I'm doing water, and coffee, green tea. It's because I know so many friends. So they say, please help me for the China market. Please do, because they see in America, they don't know anyone in China. So they know me, then I help them. Then I think coffee is like culture.
His insatiable appetite for a piece of the action may have something to do with his early struggles. When he was born in Hong Kong in 1954, his parents were said to be so poor that they considered giving him away to the doctor who delivered him to give him a better chance at life. He learned his martial arts and acrobatic skills at the Peking Opera School, famous for its rigorous regimes and strict discipline. But after more than 30 years at the top of his game in the movie business, Jackie no longer has to worry about where the next meal is coming from, commanding around $12 million a movie. He sees his bewildering array of business ventures as self-indulgent pleasures, which usually end up costing him more money than they earn. A Jackie Chan souvenir shop reportedly lost $1 million before closing down. Still, if he does get short of a bob, he can always sing for his supper. Though he's yet to break through in the Western world, he's a huge pop star in Asia, with over 20 albums released since 1984. Not that all his endeavours are about self-gratification. Jackie's philanthropic output is equally impressive.
It's all about charity. Besides, because I always think I'm so lucky, if there's God, He really give me a lot of things. You know, He give me the movie success around the world, give me a lot of fame, give me a lot of money. So now it's the time to give back. So when I'm not filming, I call UNICEF. What can I do? Then I call Hawaii. What can I do? I have a certain time. They say, okay, I need you to do that. Yes, I'm going. Actually, I keep doing those kind of things for the last 20 years.
His recent appointment as a United Nations Goodwill Ambassador for AIDS is just the tip of the iceberg. At the heart of his charity work is, you've guessed it, the Jackie Chan Charitable Foundation, dedicated to helping young people in Hong Kong. As well as building schools and a development centre, it's also provided aid to victims of natural disaster and funds for medical services. And Jackie has pledged that he will leave half of his fortune to charity when he dies.
That's why you should not touch.
Jackie himself was also very active in the fight against bird flu.
Especially if they look sick. Got it?
Yes! But playing with paper birds is fun.
Alongside Governator Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jackie also sprang into action to combat the spiralling issue of film and music piracy in Asia.
A lot of people say, yeah, there's piracy. They just talk, they never do it. Arnold and me, we do it. We see it, we do it. How many we can help, we don't know. If everybody just do a little bit, I think very quick, nobody want to buy piracy anymore.
Thankfully, however, the King of Kung Fu is not quite a saint yet. In July 2006, he got the wrong kind of publicity when he drunkenly disrupted a concert by Taiwanese singer-songwriter Jonathan Lee in Hong Kong. There has also been much speculation as to why he kept quiet for 20 years about his marriage to actress Joan Lin. Neither she nor his grown-up son have ever been seen with him in public. According to Jackie Chan's autobiography, I Am Jackie Chan, the secrecy stems from the suicide of a female fan who threw herself in front of a train when his marriage was originally announced in 1982. At the age of 8, this singing budgie used to put on a party frock and mime to ABBA records using a broom handle for a microphone. Whether she's popping out of a podium, popping on her own underwear, or popping in on good friends Dolce & Gabbana, Kylie Minogue barely has time to sit down. Perhaps she's reluctant to hide what's been described as her greatest asset. Or perhaps she's just determined to live up to her title of pop princess. But at a recent exhibition celebrating 20 years of eye-popping stage outfits, even she had to admit,
I've been busy.
Quite an understatement for a performer who's achieved as much offstage as on in the 20-odd years since she donned greasy overalls to play motor mechanic Charlene in the daytime soap Neighbours. In 2004, she proved she was as much entrepreneur as entertainer when she launched her own line of lingerie called Love Kylie. To kick things off, she hired out a restaurant in London and sent models to mingle with guests wearing foxy fishnets and peekaboo suspenders.
Go down the high street these days and you can very affordably buy a look that you feel like on that particular day. So I wanted the range to reflect that. You can, and there's different names for the different styles. You have Fever, Envy, Vamp. You know, if you're feeling girly or flirtatious or you're out on a hot date, you can kind of take your pick.
Understanding her appeal and pitching product at the right level helped Love Kylie gain traction in the marketplace really quickly. She also had one or two other ideas.
If you were here, you'd notice a beautiful scent in the air, which is a candle we've done. We're going to have jawliners and go into sleepwear, so it will be branching out. But I think we're taking our time and doing each step properly.
She took the same smart approach to releasing her own perfume. In a partnership with 100-year-old fragrance house Coty, she flew to Spain herself to select the ingredients for Darling, which took 2 years to bring to fruition.
Isn't it a girl's dream? It certainly was one of mine, and it wasn't something that I took on board as a whim, as you know, because we spoke about it for a long, long time. And I wanted to do it properly, to do it beautifully, and to have something that I could be really proud of.
It was an emotional event for Kylie, who just 18 months before had been diagnosed with breast cancer. The news sent shockwaves through her home country, and even the Australian Prime Minister made comment.
Everybody feels shocked and saddened. A young woman, Kylie Minogue, any young woman of that age, to be diagnosed with that condition, it does send a shudder through you.
But smiley Kylie wasn't about to let it get her down. As well as spending time raising awareness about breast cancer, she sparked a new trend for cropped locks when she emerged in remission looking hotter than ever. During her convalescence, she used her enforced downtime to write a children's book called The Showgirl Princess, based on her own life story. Since being given the all-clear in late 2005, she's finished off her showgirl tour and lent her name to a new H&M fashion line in China. And she finally did find the time to sit down to pose for a record-breaking 4th wax figure at Madame Tussauds in London.
Only the Queen has had more figures than Kylie. She's had 5, but Kylie Minogue's pop royalty. She's a pop chameleon. She's so popular because she changes images and moves with the time. So our fans here and our guests have wanted exactly the same. They wanted to see a new, up-to-date Kylie, so it made sense.
The dress was modelled on one she wore on her showgirl tour, and according to the sculptor of the piece, Kylie was a near-ideal model.
Immense integrity, and I think that the public have loved her for so many years that I wanted to really portray her as she has been in this showgirl tour since she's come back from cancer. And so trying to get her chirpy character plus the dignity. That's really what I wanted to try and capture.
His bottom is almost as famous as Kylie Minogue's, having topped an Odeon cinema poll for his nude scene in 2004's Velvet Goldmine. But his penchant for stripping off in films reveals just one side of Ewan McGregor, who shows as much commitment to his off-screen roles. Born in Scotland in 1971, he lives in North London with his wife of 12 years, French production designer Eve. In 2006, their daughters Clara and Esther were joined by 4-year-old Mongolian orphan Jamian. No doubt the couple's decision to adopt was fostered by Ewan's involvement with UNICEF, for whom he became an ambassador in 2005. One of his first assignments was to deliver a manifesto to the G8 summit.
The idea is that these 8 children from these 8 developing countries, from some of the poorest countries in the world, have come here to spend 3 days discussing and debating the issues that affect them and their future.
And on his first field trip as a UNICEF ambassador to raise awareness of AIDS in Malawi, he saw firsthand the devastation that the disease has wrought upon Africa's children.
Four children live in this room. The eldest boy here is 17, just had an epileptic fit, and then there's the 11-year-old boy, probably a 6-year-old boy and a baby, and they live in this room, which is as grim as you could ever possibly imagine.
As well as his awareness-raising efforts, Ewan has also designed a limited edition mug available from the UNICEF website. Proceeds from sales go to the charity. Ewan's dedication to good causes is balanced against a healthy hedonistic streak that sees him abandoning his wife and kids for months on end to go hooning around the world on a motorbike with childhood friend Charlie Borman. The pair first hatched the crazy plan to embark on a 4-month transcontinental odyssey in 2003.
You know, we came up with this idea less than a year and a half ago, Charlie and I decided to ride around the world, and in the space of 10 months we planned it, did it, and now we have a book in the shops and there's a TV series on the television. So in the space literally of like less than a year, we've managed to do that.
Still, it was no easy ride. Ewan nearly quit several times because he was missing his family.
Physically, we were challenged the most in Kazakhstan, Mongolia, and Siberia, and then we had Alaska, Canada, and America to kind of physically get over our hardship, if you like. But mentally, it's been difficult to adjust back, not to being back at home with our wives and family, but to business and work and pressures in that respect.
Despite the grueling journey, Ewan and Charlie's love affair with motorbikes and the road won out again when they set off in May 2007, this time determined to conquer the long trail from John O'Groats in Scotland to Cape Town in South Africa, stopping off to visit UNICEF's landmine projects in Ethiopia along the way. Ewan's obsession with motorbikes made him first choice to narrate the world's first documentary about the MotoGP World Championships and the death-defying riders who take part. Revving up to the Croisette at the Cannes Film Festival to support the film, he was rather taken by one of the gleaming stars.
I'll have this one. Yeah?
Since then, his vocal talent has been in increasing demand. Most recently, he was invited to give voice to a hapless, undersized wood pigeon who dreams of joining the elite homing pigeon service, delivering messages to troops behind enemy lines. Ewan found working on the animated feature more challenging than many of his live-action jobs.
I think it's easier to play a character when you're being filmed and in costume and makeup than when you're just using your voice. It's harder. And especially with an animation like this, what I've learned is that if you play it kind of naturalistically, it doesn't work. You have to lift it so that it's larger than life, because these characters are larger than life.
But he proved he's just a big sucker for his kids when revealing why he took on the part in the first place.
I wanted to make an animation that my children would enjoy.
As a girl, this sultry star is said to have been expelled from her Catholic boarding school for hiring a maid to clean her room. Whether whether or not that story is true, Salma Hayek most certainly grew up with a taste for the finer things in life. The daughter of a Mexican oil executive and an opera singer, her family wasn't low on cash, but that doesn't mean Salma is afraid of hard work. Aside from her host of on-screen credits, she's been achieving big things behind the scenes. Even as her acting career was taking off in Hollywood in the late 90s, she was setting up her own production company, Ventana Rosa. And her first feature as a producer was Mexico's official selection for submission for Best Foreign Film at the Oscars of 1999. Not only did she star as the tragic Mexican artist in 2002's Frida, she also co-produced the film, which took 8 years of nurture to bring to the big screen, and went on to net her an Oscar nomination for Best Actress. That success earned her her first invitation to direct a movie for Showtime. The Maldonado Miracle won her a Daytime Emmy Award. She didn't even have to try that hard.
It was very fun and easy, and it went really smooth. Probably because I think I got lucky and a lot of really cool people were working with me, and we worked really well together as a team.
She's also directed a video clip for the artist formerly and once again known as Prince. However, her most recent behind-the-scenes triumph has been as the executive producer of multi-Emmy award-winning TV series Ugly Betty, after adapting the series from the Colombian telenovela in 2001. The show was originally intended to air as a half-hour sitcom for NBC, but went on to be picked up by the ABC in 2006. With ratings going through the roof, it picked up the Golden Globe Award for Best Comedy Series and made an instant star of Ugly Betty's alter ego, America Ferrera.
I'm a fan of the show as well, just because there's so many characters in the show to love, you know, and I watch the show and have so much fun watching the different characters interact, and no characters on the show are apologetic for who they are, even though maybe sometimes we get a little soapy or a little over the top. Or too heartfelt. It's never apologetic about what it is.
Despite becoming pregnant to businessman fiancé Francois-Henri Pinault during filming of the hit series, Salma has remained very hands-on since the show's inception.
But she's there, she watches all the daily, she writes notes on this, she comes to our readings, checks up on us on the set. I mean, she's just been a very strong presence in the whole development of this remarkable year that we've had.
That strong presence is also felt in the causes she supports. At a recent hearing of a Senate Judiciary Committee, she urged the government to put its shoulder behind the fight against domestic violence. She took the same message to her home country on a visit with Jane Fonda, calling on the Mexican government to end violence against women in the border city of Ciudad Juarez, where more than 300 women have been brutally murdered over the past 12 years. Next, she was meeting with Guatemalan President Oscar Berger, calling for more help in the fight against AIDS. And in recognition of all her unsung humanitarian work, she was invited, along with Julianne Moore, to host the Nobel Peace Concert in Oslo. And of course, she didn't pass up the chance to put in a word for world peace.
When we can collectively, as a social conscious, dream a dream of peace, this is when peace will become a very tangible reality, and I believe in
it. She's been quoted as saying, "The thing that's bad about breasts is that you have to choose between having a mind and having breasts. It'd be nice if you could have both. Anyway, I think my breasts have been highly overrated." Susan Sarandon's upfront attitude has been landing her in hot water ever since her high school days, when she was arrested for her involvement in Vietnam War and civil rights protests. 40 years later, after having 3 children, winning an Oscar and starring in tens of movies, little has changed. Making no bones about her opposition to the Iraq War, Susan has regularly aired her views on television chat shows. On Mother's Day in 2006, she attended a 24-hour vigil outside the White House.
Those moms praying as they wait for the phone to ring and they hear the voice of their child serving in Iraq. Let him be the one to tell them that this week the call will not be coming. Neither will the letter, ever. And then let him explain to them why they have made the ultimate sacrifice. Maybe then he will understand why wars are usually not preemptive, why wars are to be avoided and entered into only when absolutely necessary.
At the 2006 Oscar ceremony, she ticked off the Academy by giving the peace sign. But that was just the tip of the iceberg for the outspoken actress, who has not only received death threats and been branded a Bin Laden lover, her family has also come under attack.
Oh yeah, I had my niece in Virginia was in a play, my little niece, and the teacher came up to my sister and said, if your sister comes in here, we won't let her in. My nephew in New Jersey was in a class, and she didn't know that he was related to me in any way. He has a different last name, and she said, I'd just like to knock her teeth out. And then when he said, well, that's my aunt, she said, oh, well, she's a fine actress, but so there was this permission granted for anyone who asked questions even to be attacked, and I don't think that I ever thought that someone would really kill me, although there were some people said I'd like someone to knock her off on the radio, stuff like that. And I don't think that I thought that I'd really never work again. But, you know, when nobody's saying anything, it's a really scary place to be.
Not that fear holds any dominion over Susan, who took her last name from actor Chris Sarandon, whom she married in college in 1967. She got her start in films after tagging along to one of his auditions. She ended up with a part and he didn't. When they divorced in 1979, she kept the name. 6 years later, she had her daughter, Eva Amuri. And in 1988, she met fellow actor and Liberal activist Tim Robbins on the set of Bull Durham. The couple have 2 sons, Jack Henry and Miles Guthrie. And since becoming a mother, Susan has been even more focused on social issues, lending her physical and vocal support to a whole raft of causes. Her mixture of beauty, maturity, warmth, passion and intelligence always keep her at the top of the invite list of guest speakers. At a recent charity run, even soprano mob boss James Gandolfini was intimidated by her.
And I'd like to introduce a woman now who is very smart, lovely, stubborn, wonderful, a great actress, a woman that I am actually very scared of for some reason. Susan Sarandon.
Hey, good morning. And thank you, James, for that interesting introduction. That wasn't what I told him to say at all.
When she's not raising funds for cancer research in her capacity as a spokeswoman for Revlon, she's pitching in at the annual Kids for Kids Celebrity Carnival and raising awareness about pediatric AIDS.
You know, when people said AIDS victims, there really wasn't the mindset that people could live with HIV. And it's great that we've evolved to the place where we understand that HIV, just like any other life-threatening illness, can be lived with and you can be productive, and it's not a death sentence. So the more that we can get that message across too, I think it's really important.